from today, let's start understanding Selenium using a Python language. Okay. And yeah, first, okay. So before we start, using Selenium, just let's understand the basics of Selenium first. What is Selenium exactly, and what it can do and what it cannot do? Okay. So Selenium is normally used for web application automation. And okay, so this is an open source. That means, okay, so we don't need to pay anything for the license. Uh, and Selenium is developed by a person called Jason Huggins, and it is developed as an internal tool for the ThoughtWorks, and it started in 2004, and later, uh, it's we have got with the various versions so far, and then yeah, Selenium also comes with the different languages. So Selenium comes with the Python, Selenium comes with the Java, Selenium comes with the C Sharp or JavaScript or some other languages. But these are the major languages, generally people use across the globe. And yeah, so Selenium, since it's a web application automation tool, and generally all the web applications need to be tested on the web browsers, right? So there are top four web browsers, which are Chrome, Firefox, Edge, and Safari, right? And Selenium supports all the four browsers. So Chrome browser, Firefox browser, Edge browser, and Safari browser. Okay, so it supports the latest versions of the browsers. Latest version of Chrome, latest version of Firefox, latest version of Edge, and latest version of Safari. But apart from these four, then okay, so it doesn't support any other browsers, right? So whenever you want to test web application using Selenium, then okay, so you can use any of the browser or all these browsers for your automation. And the important point is Selenium, as I told, Selenium is a web application automation testing tool, and it works only for the web applications. And Selenium doesn't work with non-web applications, nothing but the standalone applications, we call it as, right? So any, like, you say SAP GUI or any SWF or WPF applications, Oracle Forms, right? Or like, okay, so Java UI or, any other UI. So Selenium works only for the web applications. Apart from the web applications, no other UI it supports. So this is the biggest drawback of the Selenium we can consider. And Selenium actually comes with the four components, such as Selenium IDE. And Selenium IDE is a very basic component of Selenium. Generally, it comes as like a browser plugin with the Chrome or Firefox. And in Selenium IDE, yeah, even you can use Selenium IDE for automation testing, but this is very, very basic. And you don't need to write the program explicitly in IDE. And this IDE supports something called record and playback. That means, okay, so using Selenium IDE, you can just simply click on record and perform your events, right? So while it is recording, whatever the events that you perform on the web application, it will be capturing like what event you performed and which element you performed and some identification information of that element and all. Then it generates the code automatically. So next time, whenever you want to run the same flow, simply you can just run that code. So you don't need to write any custom code in IDE. But being an expert, or for if you want to test the web applications, if you want to maintain for long in future, you should not use IDE. Okay, but we will also discuss about Selenium IDE later part, but as of now, so we don't need of too much of explanation for Selenium IDE. And we have something called Selenium RC, so which is no longer available, so which has been expired long time ago. And yeah, so the earlier versions of Selenium had RC, like remote control. And right now this has been expired, so you will no longer use Selenium RC. And the third component called Selenium WebDriver. And the Selenium WebDriver is the major component of the Selenium which we use. And mostly like, okay, so whatever the automation we do with the Selenium, then by using Selenium WebDriver. Okay, so then all we are going to work from today onwards is Selenium WebDriver. So we will, okay, so the upcoming, all the sessions will be talking about Selenium WebDriver. So this is the major component. And Selenium Grid. So Selenium Grid works along with the WebDriver as well. And then in Selenium Grid, like whatever the code we do with the WebDriver, so mostly the same code, 99% of the code will be used in Grid, right? So we don't need to write a separate program in Grid. But Grid is normally used for performing the execution. Like, okay, so if you want to perform the execution remotely on different machines, different configurations, right, on parallel executions on different environments and configurations, so we can use Selenium Grid. So Selenium Grid is normally used for execution purpose. Okay, so this is just a very like introduction of the Selenium, like what is meant by Selenium. So Selenium is normally a web application automation tool, and which will be used for only web application testing. And it is supported, it is it supports various languages, like you can use Selenium along with the Python, or you can use Selenium along with Java, or along with C Sharp, or along with JavaScript, or okay, so there are some other languages but which we don't use much. And at the same time, Selenium is developed by a person called Jason Huggins in 2004. And then, like, we don't need to talk about too much of history. So all we need to learn is what Selenium can do. Then, we don't need to understand, okay, so when it has come and what was the background of it, right? And it has got four components, as you see here: IDE, RC, WebDriver, and Grid. And the important point is Selenium doesn't work with any of the non-web controls. Okay, so this is just what is meant by Selenium and what it does and what it cannot do.